And what I mean by that is I asked if I would be married again. And I had a dream of my ex-husband. And so I knew I wasn't going back in that direction, but I knew it meant I was going to have another husband. So what my memory bank was using, my husband, as so that I would know it represents a husband. I've read stories where people are looking to move, and they may go into meditation and say, could you guide me, please? Where should I move? You know, I looked in Long Island, I looked in Connecticut, I'm kind of confused. And all of a sudden they may see a scenery from somewhere in Switzerland, say, I'm not moving to Switzerland, but what the memory bank again was using, the memory to use whatever area in Switzerland that they saw in their third eye or mind's eye, and place that with the area that looks similar to Switzerland, and that would be the direction.
Important point. So if you hold the object, the psychometry is not always for past. It could also be representative of the future.
Oh, that's what you use it for.
For the future also. So I always thought it was confirmation of things past that you would know.
Well, when I hold a piece of jewelry or use a picture or whatever tool, I will start to channel the deceased. So that would be the past, something's familiar to the person from the past. Then it leads me to the future. I mean, I like to encompass the whole person, because whatever happened in your past is always a product of what's going on in your present and leads you into the future. So I feel you have to encompass the whole. And when the deceased come through, they always give comforting thoughts, and they very often give messages of the past so that the client can relate to them.
Does anyone try to trick you by giving you a piece of jewelry and, you know, test you, so to speak?
Well, I've had women wear wedding rings when they were no longer married. And I'll hold it and say, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't... Which, also, if you're holding a piece of jewelry, and you're holding it here, you're a psychic feeler, and you feel nothing, nothing doesn't mean you're not receiving. Nothing could actually mean there's emptiness. You know, there's space. So you got to go back in. Don't take anything for granted that you're receiving. It's a very important point.
What hint, what clue would you give to a person doing this for the first time about receiving, about the message when they receive it? What's primary? What should they really concentrate? You said not concentrate on, but what should they concentrate on while they're not concentrating?
Well, if you're focused and your mind is relaxed, you're going to hear things very clearly.
Okay.
Just listen to what you're being told, and then just channel it forward.
Don't interpret it as you're receiving it.
Okay. If I had my eyes closed now and I held your jewelry and all of a sudden I saw a boat, just a boat, I wouldn't try to interpret it at first. I would look at you and say, Bob, do you own a boat? And you would say, no. I'll say, okay. Go back and say, what does this boat mean? And then I may see that you're going on a cruise, or something on a boat is coming up for you that would be very important. But first I let it come out, and then if the client cannot confirm it, if it doesn't make sense to them, I'll go back and ask. I must say, though, when I get names, sometimes the clients can't confirm it, so I just give the information. Sometimes they don't remember or they don't understand, so you just give it out.
What I found dealing with people getting psychic readings is they kind of like resist the information, like they deny it. And then 5 minutes later, oh yeah, well, I know that name or I know that person. But while they're receiving it, they're so confused, maybe even a state of shock or disbelief.
I don't know if it's disbelief. I've had clients where I name their husbands and they're like, no, I don't know a Mark. No. And then call me back and say, that was my husband. I really think that they're frightened on some part when you hit them with information of a loved one they lost. Some of them just start to cry, so they totally lose focus. You're like 9 yards ahead, and they're still thinking that their grandmother had something, you know, really special to say. So at this point, with my experience, I don't worry about the confirmation. I don't mean to sound egotistical, but it's just through my experience that I know it's going to manifest. When you're beginning, confirmation is very, very important. So just, you know, write it down. Let the person write it down. You know, try to go back in, try to get more detail, try to get more information. And if you're not, don't worry about it. Go and see what else comes through and write it down. And I'm telling you, it's going to make sense at some point.
Diane, you're psychic. I bet you can guess what I'm going to say now.
We have 5 more minutes.
Very good. Okay, with that note, we're into the last few minutes of the program. What point would you like to make that you haven't already spoke about now?
Okay.
On any subject pertaining
Okay,
to
well,
psychic
the first thing
phenomena.
is I hope that the information that was given will help our viewers open up. It's really nice when you're connected to God and you allow yourself to receive messages, because some of them can be very beautiful. And I just think when you meditate and you give yourself time to have solitude with yourself, just life is just more peaceful, and it's just easier to follow your intuition than, you know, constantly have to go to someone also. You want to be able to help yourself. Also, I'd like to make a comment on the confusion that continuously seems to come up about psychics, their work, and religion. I would like to state that my work, and I know the work of the psychics that I'm familiar with, is not...
And the psychics at the club.
Well, that's most of the people I know. Is not intended to take people from their religious belief. I personally advocate religion and always convey to my clients to trust in God and continue to pray. Basically, I grew up in a very strong religious family. I have a lot of faith. I've seen how prayer and its miracles has manifested in my life. And also, I don't want clients to become psychic dependent.
I call them psychoholics.
Psychoholics. And I don't want our viewers to just like, okay, let me get you jewelry and start going crazy now too. Just take it slow. Let it become natural, because it is a natural part of your being. You have this ability. Also, if you go to a reader and a reader seems to focus a lot on the negative, you know, that's not a good reader. A reading should leave you lifted and give you hope, and I like to equate it to a manual. If I was a mechanic, it doesn't mean that I wouldn't need to use a manual sometimes to help me in repairing an engine. So basically what a reading is, or should be, is just a guide in life, and what I tell my clients after a reading is basically keep this information on the back burner, hold with you the information that has now given you hope and lifted you, and continue in prayer and to trust God and allow this information just to manifest the way it's supposed to.
And this works with the psychometry also.
Everything.
Okay, because we're all psychic,
Yes.
and we all have these abilities. We just have to develop them.
Right.
And watch this segue. One of the best places to develop them is watching this program and coming to the Queen Psychic Club, which meets at Flushing Free Synagogue, 4160 Casino Boulevard, and watching this program every Saturday night at 8 p.m. on Channel 35, or on Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. on Channel 56. And we always have interesting guests, such as yourself.
Thank you.
And it's a opening of our awareness of our higher self to the universe, and we can all, as you said, we can all benefit. And our viewers, please continue benefiting by watching